even more efficient, even better. For example, when I started, I think over like 10 years ago, writing my first business plan, I remember it was like 20 or 25 pages long, with lots of text, lots of descriptions, and then where like cool tools came up, like the business model canvas, you probably know it. It looks something like, it's like dang, 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 and dang, 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 here, you know? And then you have like one canvas where you map all the things like customer segments, revenue model, channels, and it's all on one handy page. The same with personas, for example. When I studied design, I had to write like full in a 4-page description of a persona, and I had to do, I think, 5 or 6 of them. And I spent like, I don't know, a whole day writing personas, and actually no one was really reading it. I also value the like new improvement, something like a proto-persona. How many of you have heard about proto-personas? Yeah, so, okay, already quite a lot. So this is just, you take it in a 4-page, you take a user, you give him a name, just very briefly, some data like how old is this person, where is this person from. Then you put there how you characterize this person, a little bit to add some more like details about this person. Then you put the needs and problems this person has, and probably some solutions you can think of who can help this person to solve these problems. And this is something you can put on one page, and you can just write it down very quick and keep it on a bullet point level. And this is already enough to describe some personas. And then what's a good thing? Oh, nice. That's weird. So, and then there's the value proposition canvas. Who of you is familiar with that? Cool. So this is the kind of this box where you put the user here and you think about, okay, from a specific user segment, you think about which kind of jobs this person has to do, and then while this person is doing it, there are probably some pains he's discovering, and there are probably some gains this person is discovering, and then you can think about potential solutions here, which are described here as the service or product. Handwriting's pretty bad today. Anyway, and then there are these kind of so-called gain creators and pain relievers. And what I had some problems with in the past when we were running workshops and when we used it internally with our team, that we spend a lot of time here to discuss actually what gains are and what pains are and what's the difference, and we lost, I think, lots of time discussing this thing here and discussing like, is this more a gain or is it more a pain? But it is completely irrelevant. And I think a second problem here is that when we discuss user gains and pains and how we can solve them, there was also this weird and sometimes unclear terminology of gain creator and pain reliever, which first of all takes a long time to explain actually what it really is. So you have a gain here, and then you think about how you can make it better, or you have a pain, and then you find a solution to relieve this pain. But still, many people are struggling with it, and it's a little bit hard to digest. And overall, I'm not very helpful with this part at all. So lately I was thinking about it, how can we make this a little bit more efficient? So when I was running some customer discovery lately, I just took all my insights. I defined actually a user. I just put on top, I defined the user segment, wrote it here. So this defines the user. And then I just split it and said, well, actually it's about the intent. So the intent is a mix of a job, something a user has to do, because probably it's really part of the job, or you need something to get done. And an intent also holds the need, so the why. So why is this person doing it? So I put the intent on the right side, And then actually, I was just looking at problems here on the left side. So this is probably actually what pains are, but I don't really care so much about the gains because the things where you can really create powerful impact are mostly solving problems and things which are really pain in the ass. And if there are some nice things and people enjoy on the way, I think you can also always rephrase it as a problem, and you can get rid of this thing. So you just have, and people have intents and they have problems. And then what's also interesting is, I put this a little bit outside here. It's the workaround. So when people are discovering problems, I always ask them, how do you currently try to solve it? What kind? Do you have any workaround? What have you tried so far? And then they said, well, for example, I'm on this new platform, but I don't know how to get started. Okay, cool. How did you try to solve it? Yeah, I tried to Google it. I tried to find some people to talk to give me advice. Okay, so these are some workarounds. So if I experience people who tell me that there is a problem in the process, and then I ask them, did you try to solve it? And they say, actually not. Then I would really question the problem. Or if this is really a problem, if you don't try to solve it. But what we are looking for are really tough problems, and usually if they are like really, I would say, high quality problems, usually people have already workarounds for it, and this is a key indicator, I would say. And then on the left side, I would simply put just the product or the service, and you can give your service or your product a name later on, /service/product. And then simply look at all the workarounds here you can find, which are current, actually, let's call it like beta solutions for the current problems. And then just look at them and think about, okay, how can I make this workaround better? How can I make this workaround better? How can I make this workaround better? Plus, you can always think about like putting all those solutions together and package it into one product. And what I also like about, actually what one good thing about the value proposition canvas is that you can always treat it as like a variety of solutions which can be there. So this is a user, and then there can be specific user segments, and you can put them in a list actually. You can say, okay, this is a specific user segment A, this is a specific user segment B, and so on. And they have workarounds for some stuff, and you can also switch between, for a specific user, there is maybe this and this solution, but you can also make an alternative solution. You can fix this problem by this and this solution, and then package it into another product. And then you can actually run this classic A/B testing and say, like, okay, maybe this works. Let's see, I don't know. Let's test it, or maybe this solution works better. Let's test it. And then we finally come out and say, okay, I found this user segment, this thing didn't work, but this solution was validated. So overall, I think from my personal experience that it's better if you try to map your insights into kind of this model, while still the value proposition canvas, from my experience, is a good way to start, but I just modified and adapted to my needs and what works better from my personal experience, and that's actually it. And I would really like to get your feedback on this and what you think about my kind of solution. Thank you.